Hi, it's Jane. Check out the crazy hair. I guess we're going to call this snow hair. I don't know what else to call it. Um, I had already filmed this once, and it didn't come through. And when it did come through, it was blurry as all get out. So I'm going to try it again. Today, we are at Work on That. Work in Progress and Coffee. And yes, I've got my big cup of coffee. Got a big snowstorm coming in today. I'm thrilled beyond belief. Why? Because that snowplow I ordered hasn't gotten here yet. And since it hasn't gotten here yet, and it most likely will not get here in time before the snowstorm comes in, I get to shovel again. Which, granted, it's great exercise. I'm thrilled about all the exercise, but not thrilled about how much it actually hurts my hand to get it done. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a pain in the, you know what. I am working on my Tunisian piece. I have a couple of rows that I need to get done, so I thought I would do that while I'm sitting here talking with you. Yeah, I find it rather interesting that as much as I have to pay this homeowners association, they can't get the road clear. So, yeah, there's ice all up and down my road, and it's kind of a winding mountainous road, so there's no deliveries coming up this way right now. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And the cats, I don't know, they're just Willy Wonkas lately. I think seeing the birds and everything with the snow makes them a little on the crazy side. And you're going to see these cats start attacking me in a minute because I am using this and they see it flopping around and they think it's playtime, even though we're not playing. So yeah, I get to, if you hear me scream out, it's only because I have claws sticking into my leg as they get excited to play with the little floppy end there. And they do kind of make me laugh. I had posted earlier about Ronan not being much of a lap cat. Lately, he's been jumping up into my lap, sitting there, waiting for pets and love. So that's rather nice. In fact, here comes Ronan now. I'm not sure what he thinks he's gonna get. Maybe he'll pop up, maybe he won't. But yeah, he's gotten a lot more maybe domesticated from being that feral cat. So that's a good thing. And of course, Izzy is the kind of cat, she wants to be around her human 24/7. So she's constantly right up in my business, so to say. Which, that's fine, doesn't bother me that much. It's just every once in a while she has this habit of, she flops in the floor in front of me when I'm trying to walk. And most of the time it's not a problem, except if I'm carrying laundry to the laundry room or bringing bags in from the car, then it can be a little on the dangerous side. So kind of have to watch where I'm going. Tend to not like stepping on cats. I hope everyone is staying nice and warm. I know I had talked with Connie a couple times from Just Another Stitch about how cold it was there in Louisiana. And I know that's not a normal for a lot of the country, but I think the way that things are happening these days, it's probably going to become more of a normal for all of us across the country. That is something that my husband had done a lot of research in when he was alive, and the climate change, and because of the polar shift, some of the other things, those were some of the things he had talked about, that we're going to see colder weather for many of us who aren't used to having it, just because that polar shift has shifted slightly, you know. And it does that, I think, every 150 years, they completely switch direction. I believe that's what the research showed. Maybe I might be wrong, but I always found that fascinating, to hear that kind of thing. I'm sure you can hear those little cat claws going at it. Those are my jeans that they're clawing at. So are you all working on the same whips this week? Have you moved on to something new? I'm always curious to find out what everybody is working on. Yeah, that was me grimacing. Cat claws in the leg, you know? I guess I'm going to be a pouncing toy today. They're on a roll, I can say that. Connie and I were talking about our little, how much we have fun with the different scammers. You know, the men that are always hitting up all the women to friend them, those kind of things. And I was telling her my latest thing with the scammers is when they send a friend request, I send them a message telling them that in order to secure our friendship, I'm going to need a $1 million deposit into a Swiss bank account or an offshore account. And then once the banker has notified me that it is there and indeed is in my name, then I will approve their friend request. So yeah, I know that seems mean, but I look at it like these guys, whoever they are, male or female scammers, they deserve it. They truly do. I mean, you know, and I don't know what they think they're going to get out of it. But here's the thing that bothers me the most. You report them time after time on Facebook. Nothing is done. Nothing is done. And Facebook could stop that. They truly could. They could stop it to the point where there's no way that they could create an account, but they just don't want to. I don't think they really care that much. They're looking at numbers, and the more numbers that Facebook has, they think it's the better, because that way they can get those ads in front of people, make more money. So yeah, I always find that interesting. And here's the thing too, I've also noticed that it's happening more and more on Instagram as well as TikTok. So yeah, Instagram, there was a fella sent me a message telling me I'd won a grant because I was doing things for charity. I think he went under the name of Blessed Ron or something like that. Because the things that I did for charity and those things, he was going to bless me with, I don't know, I want to say it was $85,000 or something like that to further that cause, that kind of thing. However, I was going to have to pay, was it FedEx? $185 to get it? Yeah. No, that's a scam. Because FedEx, if someone is sending you something, they pay for it. And there is no fee that's that high at FedEx that I know of for an overnight package that is an envelope. So, and then of course with TikTok, I didn't realize I'd gone into my TikTok account to look at something. And yeah, I think it's under Jane Wynn, J-N Wynn 1. Or maybe it's Scraptastic Yarns. I don't remember. But I didn't realize that I had a mailbox. I looked down there and there was like 150 messages in the mailbox. Like, what on earth? And I looked down there and for the past 2 years, there's all kinds of messages from guys. Hi, how are you? I'm like, seriously, people? Seriously? TikTok too? Is there any place that's safe these days? So yeah, I just find it rather funny. So yeah, I am having quite a bit of fun with the scammers, giving it back to them. And I'm probably going to hell for that. But you know, like I said, I figure they deserve it. Because and I will tell you this, full disclosure, I have a friend on Facebook, and I'm not going to tell you who it is, but this person had friended me, and I had said something about I'm just sick of people who are dishonest, those kind of things and whatnot. Well, he had asked if I would be willing to keep him as a friend if he told me exactly who he was and what he did. And I thought, okay, sure, you know, how bad can it be? Well, he did tell me he is one of those scammers. And we have talked probably for the past couple of months. And I had asked him how he got started. And he basically told me his parents had pretty much kicked him out of his house, lived in Nigeria. And this seems to be the biggest thing that comes from Nigeria, the people, young people, because they don't have any kind of vision or hope in their lives. And he told me he was a scammer, that he had gone for a job, hoping to save up money to go to college, that kind of thing. And he was real honest with me. He said a lot of these scammers that's how they wind up being scammers, is they get into this and they get into, it's kind of like the drug scene, you know, where the drug dealer gives you free drugs, get you hooked, and then you need to work for them or whatever. Basically the same thing. They take you into their home, they treat you really good, and then they will give you a phone and they want you to scam people out of money so that you can in turn give the money to them. And then that scammer, whoever it is, will continue to get to live a fairly decent life with their, what I've heard them called is chairman. Otherwise, the boss will treat you like a slave. So I can understand some of that. But he was telling me that a lot of these guys will use he called it spiritual warfare with you. Basically, tell you, get you hooked because they're looking for a Christian woman or a Christian husband, those kind of things, and get to talk with you, whatnot. He did even tell me that at one point that some of them will even send you gifts to convince you that they are a real person. And then they will nonchalantly ask for money, as a gift, or, as he put, a lot of them will tell you that they were robbed, they're in the hospital, they need to pay the hospital bill, that kind of thing. And, because they've got you hooked, they think you're going to give them money. So I do find that interesting to learn that. And I do find it interesting that they actually were there in the first place looking for a job. So I find that sad in many ways. So yeah, we've been having a little bit of fun with that. Now, in the past, I've talked about Operation Christmas Child and some of the benefits that they bring to many small countries, small children, gives them a little bit of hope. There are quite a few different organizations that will do bulk purchases of toys and gifts so that you can include those in those boxes. Some of these kids, I don't know if you've watched any of the Operation Christmas Child videos, but if you have, to see them excited over a toothbrush and a comb. I mean, to me, that's hard to comprehend living here in America, how blessed we as a nation are. So yeah, or even the idea of getting a pair of flip-flops in that Operation Christmas box. So yeah, that is one of the things that I have been trying to focus on a lot, is to create and do things for Operation Christmas Child. Just to bring a little more awareness to it, and that there are so many children in this world that do without, that we can touch their lives and give them a little bit of hope. So yeah. And I was kind of laughing because I realized that these cats live a very privileged life. I provide them toys of all kinds. And, I think if I can afford a cat, I can afford to pay a little bit here to send the child some happiness here or there. It's the same thing as the deal with Boggy Creek. The idea of just giving a simple blanket that we've crocheted, knitted, or quilted, or whatever, that brings a little bit of hope to those people, to the kids, makes them feel really loved. And yeah, everybody needs that in their life. So it's a way to help those kind of things. And some of the things that I have been concentrating on are making filler items. These are items that can be sent to the distribution areas that if you are collecting those things at your local church or whatnot, that you can donate them there and they can go to the distribution center. And then if a box isn't quite full enough, because trust me, not everybody fills the boxes to the brim like I do, then they will add those things to them, that are age appropriate, those kind of things. When I talk about filler items, I'm talking about like the little Beanie Babies or hacky sack or whistle, harmonica, those kind of things, flashlights. Now, in the past, when I have sent flashlights, I've also tried to make sure that I have included batteries. But then I found that there is a small flashlight that is available. It's one of those that you shake that creates its own light. And that's probably better for those kind of countries because once a battery is used up, they may not be able to get batteries again. So, if I have decided flashlights from now on, I'm going to look at the organization that does have those to see what they cost in bulk. Sometimes they're only about 75 cents a piece through some of these different organizations. So I will provide links for those in the future when I find those kind of deals. Now I know on one of the groups, there are a couple of groups that specialize in Operation Christmas Drive. Those of us that sew for the teenage girls, you can make the menstruation pads for them. That is a great help to them, and generally include a bag that is waterproof so that they can put the soiled things in, and a couple of pair of underwear with the menstrual pads. And those are some things, if you sew, you can do that will help teenage girl, because many of the teenage girls cannot go to school if they are menstruating at the time. They are considered dirty. And there's another group that you can sew different things that help, and that is So Powerful. So Powerful is a group that you sew small handbags with your scraps, those kind of things, and send those over. Which if you're doing something for Operation Christmas Child, you can make one of those bags, include the liner and the menstruation pads and everything in that bag. So you can help those girls continue to get an education, which is important no matter where you are. So yeah, those are some things that I've been doing a lot of research in, trying to find links so that it'll help all of us, because things are costly. And if you can get something in bulk that can help either you or a couple of friends go in and purchase, like a co-op for these Operation Christmas Child boxes, I think that would be a good thing. I know on the Operation Christmas Child, someone had also mentioned looking. Battery died. Also on the Operation Christmas Child, they had mentioned that a lot of people like to include clothing, which that is a great gift for a child. A dress for girls is very beneficial. Actually helps them keep from being sexually assaulted in many cases. So those are some ideas to also include. If you sew, Dollar Tree lots of times has t-shirts in all kinds of different sizes. Those are some good ideas to take those t-shirts, sew a skirt to the bottom of it, turn it into a nice dress. The only thing that they had talked about is sometimes people will reuse jeans to make bags, those kind of things. And the only issue with that, or, send jeans, pants, used clothing. The only thing with that is a lot of times in many of these countries, if customs see that the clothing looks like it's used, in particular like jeans that seem to be really worn, then they will throw out the entire box. So that's something to consider if you do make those kind of things. Make sure that it looks fairly decent, doesn't look too worn, that kind of thing. And if possible, not used. I'm not sure why they do that, but who knows? Regulations in each country are different, so you have to follow the regulations. Having a lot of problems with my throat today, which I, normally have with the cold weather. So I do find that rather interesting that it's acting up again, even though I've been inside the entire time. Well, with the exception of the shoveling that I did yesterday. Did have to shovel a little bit in order to get out of the house. I did attempt to go down the road, like I said, and it's still pretty icy. So I can see why there's no deliveries. I did turn around and come back. So yeah, those are a couple of things that I have been thinking about a lot lately. That is part of the reason that I wanted this house and wanted that craft room the way that it was so that I could do more sewing for charity. And I have been doing a lot more sewing for charity, and I do enjoy that quite a bit. So I feel like I'm putting a little bit of good out there in the world. Goodness. Throat is really acting up today. Now, just a bizarre thought. Do any of you have those leftover tins from popcorn? You know, the little popcorn tins that people give you as gifts with the 3 different kinds of popcorn, those kind of things. Yes, I do like popcorn, and I do like getting those as gifts. Well, I had 3 gifts of those that were gifted to me, and my first thought was, what can I use them for after they're finished? Well, I'll show you what I use a couple of them for. Let me get it out. This is a Mickey Mouse tin, and I use it. If I can get the lid off, to hold my scrap yarn with. So I do that, as well as using them for the cat food, kitty litter, you name it. Small scraps of fabric, those kind of things. Someone had suggested putting my ice melt in there, or the salt that I put out on the driveway. No, that's not a good idea because it'll actually corrode the tin, so I don't do that. However, I do use the 5-gallon plastic buckets to hold that kind of stuff. But yeah, those are some ways to reuse those tins. And of course, if you do so, you could also turn it into a footrest if you really wanted to. Crazy ideas. That's what happens when I'm here alone. My mind runs rampant with crazy ideas, ways to use things up instead of putting them back into the landfill, that kind of thing. So, yeah. I think I've chatted your ear off enough today, so I am going to let you go for now. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you again next week. I had talked about doing a live, but for now, that's just not working out, just because of the way things are going and the things I have to do. So, yeah. But someday there will be a live for the work on that work in progress. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. As always, be a little kinder to yourself, be kind to one another, love one another, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.